Well, barely a few days are left for the Delhi elections. Both the Aam Aadmi Party, BJP, as well as the Congress are trying their best to reach out to the voters. We have with us senior BJP leader who's also the vice president of the party, as well as Delhi in charge, Baijayant Panda. Welcome to ThePrint, sir. I know this question has been asked many times, but apart from the usual rhetorical answers, how challenging has this election been? From the start, from the beginning.
Neelamji, you will recall that when I was given this charge about 3 months ago, we had an informal discussion. And I told you my first sense right then is that the response we were getting from the people of Delhi was so overwhelming. They've had it up to here with this Apda, this disaster that they've had to endure for the last 10 or 12 years. They've given a chance to Congress earlier also. And this time they've made up their mind to give a chance to BJP. And you can see the enthusiasm amongst our workers who've been on the field for months. There is a very stark difference in terms of earlier years and now. Even in earlier years, in the Lok Sabha elections, we've got the world's most popular leader. We've been winning well over 51% of the votes and winning all 7 seats. In the local elections, the political dynamics have been very different in the last 25 years since we were last in government here. But throughout this time, we've been growing in vote share. Every single election, our vote share has been growing. And in local elections, which means assembly and city council elections. In the last local elections 2 years ago, the gap had come down to 2%. And it was a very narrow difference. In the meantime, lots has happened. The Apda has lost its sheen. Their leaders have spent many months and sometimes years in jail. CAG has come out with its 2,000 crore scam report. Liquor scam, the classroom scam, the Mohalla clinic scam. They no longer dare to call themselves Kattar Imandar. So the answer to your question is, when there is such an overwhelming swell of public support, it has been a very different election this time, very positive for us.
Well, you say the gap has been narrowing, but what is it that, BJP is not able to understand as far as Delhi voter is concerned? 93 and now we are in 2025. Why has BJP not been able to come to power even once after 93?
So the answer to that is pretty simple. The era of politics in the 80s and 90s was different, where we used to form governments here with barely 32-33% of the vote share. Now, especially in the last dozen years, you've got this Apda who fooled people. They gave many people, including people in the middle class, people in the slums, feeling that they were a ray of hope, they were fresh, different somehow. They've turned out to be the worst kind of politicians with, the same person who can take an oath on his children not to live in a VIP lifestyle, to live only in a 2-bedroom flat. And then during COVID, to merge 4 government bungalows to build this Sheesh Mahal, where you have gold-plated wash basins, you have a toilet worth millions of rupees, you have curtains worth millions of rupees, you have a bar at government cost, you have these hi-fi Bose systems, not 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, but dozens. People of Delhi have had it with this hypocrisy. So the important fact is, throughout all this, despite the fake promises which got them to win 3 elections over more than 10 years, our vote share has been growing, and it was very narrow last time. This time around, as I said, lot has happened. It's not that what did we have to figure out about Delhi. It's that the people of Delhi have figured out what fakes and what crooks these people are. And it is they who have decided to bless us and put us into government.
We saw Yogi Adityanath, he held a number of rallies in Delhi and, thronged by many. We saw what happened in Kumbh, the tragedy that unfolded. How involved is he going to be? Because he was supposed to address a number of rallies in the coming days also.
First of all, it's a terrible tragedy at what happened in the Kumbh, and all our hearts go out, our prayers with the bereaved families and those who have been injured. the reality is the Kumbh was being managed extremely well, and as a result, the crowds kept thronging from millions into the tens of millions into the hundreds of millions. And it's a tragedy. Of course, the Chief Minister has focused there on resolving that. Now, coming back to Delhi elections, our leaders have campaigned everywhere in the country, whether it is Odisha, whether it is Karnataka, whether it is Jammu and Kashmir. We are a national party. And of course, we will campaign both with our state leadership as well as our national leadership. And many such leaders, you know, the Prime Minister's rallies in Delhi have been attracting enormous crowds. And he has made it very clear. You know, one of the lies, of the many lies of this Apda, was that the BJP would stop welfare programs in Delhi. The Prime Minister has made it very clear. Our Home Minister, our National President, all of us have made it very clear that's not going to happen. We've had many other leaders, including other chief ministers, including other union ministers. You can see that the response is overwhelming. I want to conclude this by saying one more thing. Recall that in the last many months, it has been a build-up to this level. Right now, the campaign is its peak. But in the last few months, every week, our Karyakartas and Delhi leaders have been going to the jhuggies, to the slums, staying there overnight, empathizing with the people's problems, finding solutions and making commitments which have Modi ji's guarantee so that people know that it's going to be implemented. We've had thousands of street corner meetings. We've had thousands of youth meetings. We've had thousands of women meetings. All this has been a build-up. And in this peak stage of the campaign, you can see the response extremely positive. The people of Delhi want a conflict-free governance here in Delhi. They see the development in the rest of the country. They see the development of India across the world, which is the fifth largest economy now, fastest growing in the world for many years, going to third largest. Delhi does not look like the capital of such a city. No infrastructure development in the last 10 years. Still undrinkable water. Still no public transport infrastructure development in the last 10 years. People want a government that will work hand in hand with the central government and develop Delhi.
So free water, free electricity, free bus rides, all of that will continue.
Let me make something very clear. In the name of free water, Apda has run a huge scam in Delhi Jal Board into thousands of crores. No audit for last 8 years. And people of Delhi, after 10 years, even poor people in slums are forced to buy drinking water from the tanker mafia. In the name of cleaning up the Yamuna, you see thousands of crores have been spent, and it's a terrible situation. In the name of free transport for women, DTC has been run into the ground hugely, in huge losses, has barely 1/3 of the buses it requires. The difference is, when the BJP makes a commitment, there's a huge difference. I'll give you two statistics. In the national manifestos of 2014 and 2019, whatever was committed, till now, more than 99% have been implemented, starting from 370, so on and so forth. Let's take the example of Odisha. We've been in government for only 7 months, and more than 70% of our Sankalp Patra has already been implemented in Odisha. We promised financial assistance to women through DBT years ago in Madhya Pradesh with Ladli Behan, years ago Chhattisgarh, Odisha with Subhadra Yojana, Haryana and other places. We've implemented all of them. So there's a contrast. Apda has been promising women financial assistance 3 years ago in Punjab. They've cheated them. The women of Punjab are protesting almost daily. They've promised it in Delhi, they haven't done it. So the three differences are, when we make a promise, it has Modi ji's guarantee. People know that it will be implemented. There is no fakery involved. Number two, ours is fiscally responsible. All the states where we provide welfare programs, and we provide major welfare programs nationally, like Ayushman Bharat, the world's largest health safety net. We provide Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, the world's largest food aid program. Fiscally, these states are managed very well. They are not deep into the red, as Delhi has become under Apda. So they get implemented. Fiscally rational. Third most important, no corruption. You can't find corruption in BJP implemented welfare programs. And these are the three big differences.
I've been noticing, because I've been reporting on, the election campaign for a while now. So right from Afzal Guru to freebies to corruption, sheeshmel, now the latest is the poisonous water. Why this constant shift as far as the focus of the campaign is concerned? What exactly is the central theme of your campaign?
Great question. You see, the APDA has a serious problem and they're constantly trying to shift the goalpost. The APDA does not want to talk about the condition of the roads in Delhi. They don't want to talk about the condition of the drinking water in Delhi. They don't want to talk about public transport or parking facilities in Delhi, or they haven't spent any money on pollution control or what they have done to the Yamuna. So they're constantly coming up with fake narratives. One fake narrative is that BJP will stop the welfare programs, which has been totally demolished. The horrific fakery claiming that poison is being fed into the water by BJP, this is criminal. It's criminal, it is anti-constitutional. They've been given a notice by the Election Commission and they're not responding to it. You can't do such things. This is not allowed under the Constitution. Now, they're constantly trying to change to change the narrative so that their fakery is not the focus. This will not work anymore. Now, as far as their connections to supporting Afzal Guru, remember just a few years ago, the same APDA leader had publicly told all of you in the media that he had vetted each and every APDA candidate and they were all clean people. Now, these are the people, some of them have been in jail for extortion. Some of them have been in jail for a liquor scam. Some of them have been in jail for, during riots, murdering a central government IB officer. These are the kind of people they had put into office. And obviously, they don't want those questions being asked. So they constantly keep changing the narrative.
Is PM Modi the face of Delhi elections?
PM Modi is the face not only of India. He's the world's most popular leader. It's not us saying it. It's survey after survey after survey over every month, over the years. He's the world's most popular leader. And obviously, we get a benefit from that. Obviously, there is a Modi factor that adds to the votes that we get as the BJP, as the world's largest political party, 13 crore members. We benefit from the immense hard work of our lakhs and crores of karyakartas. We don't turn up only during elections. Our karyakartas helped crores of people during COVID. Every week we have outreach programs. So Modi ji, of course, is the world's most famous leader. We benefit from that. It helps us in Delhi as it has all over the country. And our strategy over the past decade of having collective leadership in every state has worked. So in every state, whether it is my home state, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, even states where we already had a government, our state leadership is a collective leadership, and only after the elections, any karyakarta can take up the leadership role. We've had karyakartas in Odisha and Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan who've come up the hierarchy and taken leadership roles after elections. Now, this is typical because in our party, anybody can rise to the top. Modi ji himself was a former tea seller and he's the historic third-time Prime Minister and the most popular leader. One of the narratives the APDA tried to spin is that they have a so-called face. Actually, they don't, and media should ask him this question because after spending time in jail, the former Chief Minister has been released on bail. His trial is yet to commence under very strict conditions by the Supreme Court. He's not allowed to go into the Chief Minister's office. He's not allowed to sign Chief Minister's files. So he can't be Chief Minister. And he has called their current Chief Minister as temporary. Now, if their former Chief Minister can't be a Chief Minister, current Chief Minister is temporary, they have to answer the question, who is the leader of their team? And they have a habit of, in Hindi it is called ulta chor kotwal ko dhante. And some people still get taken in by fake promises and these fake narratives. But you know that old saying, you can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time, and their time is up.
But in the past, as far as Delhi is concerned, you have named chief ministerial candidates, whether it was Kiran Bedi, whether it was senior BJP leader Harshvardhan. So why this shift in the strategy?
Our shift, look, there are eras. There was an era when we had Madan Lal Khurana. There was an era where we had Sahib Singh Verma. There was an era when we had Atalji at the national level. Today we have, as I said, the world's most popular leader at the national level. And in the state level, it's not just Delhi. It's been more than a decade that the strategy, the structure, and the pattern that we follow, which works everywhere, not just Delhi, as I mentioned, all these other states, even states where we have a sitting government, sitting chief minister, we have collective leadership. It's a formula that gets response from the people. It has been succeeding in the majority of the states. And that's, we are not going to tinker with a successful formula. We're going to take it forward.
RSS we saw was very active as far as Maharashtra and Haryana elections are concerned, and it was said that they played a pivotal role as far as these two assembly elections are concerned. How active is it in Delhi?
I want to say 2 or 3 things. The RSS is the world's largest voluntary organization. They're working continually for unifying the nation, for as they say, for getting India its mojo back. And they do that round the clock, every year, every week. It's not just during election. I think during election, sometimes media notices them a little bit more. They are constantly working for taking the nation forward. Now, as a socio-cultural organization who have inspired us and many other organizations besides BJP, we are inspired by them. We take advice from them. And we shape our own campaign, keeping these factors in mind and people's responses. From what I can see, they do their job the same all the time, and media seems to find differences. I don't think there are any differences. They are doing what they've always done, and
but they always do a little bit more during elections.
See, as far as I understand, they are always having outreach programs across society, meeting various sections of people, and it's not just they're not a political organization like BJP is. They are indeed an inspiration for us, but they have these outreach programs year round. I've been to several of these programs when there's no elections in sight. And as I said, we in the BJP have our similar outreach programs. I gave you the examples of thousands of smaller meetings that we have had in the last few months. We are certainly sensing that the people of Delhi have decided that enough of this fakery of the last dozen years. They've already given a chance to Congress in the past. This time, they want to give a chance to BJP.
We have also reported on this, and if you look at facts and figures, BJP doesn't seem to perform well in SC-dominated seats in Delhi. And if we look at it in terms of, the Ambedkar controversy, where, the opposition had blamed Amit Shah for using certain remarks, how difficult is it for Delhi as far as these 12 seats are concerned, which are dominated by the scheduled caste community?
Since you said facts and figures, let me give you some facts and figures.
Yeah.
So Delhi has 12 reserved seats for the scheduled castes. The BJP NDA alliance has given 14 seats, 14 candidates, more than APTA, more than Congress. We are certainly more representative for the aspirational sections of society which have been neglected in the past. We give them much more importance. The others somehow seem to spin it more in the media narrative. Now, you talk about Ambedkar ji. Now, look at what happened in Punjab just a few days ago. It is a government run by APTA. Of course, they've run that state totally into the ground with all the fake promises. But while doing vote bank politics, while exploiting the formerly neglected sections of society, for under their watch to have this insult to the shaper of our constitution, to deface his statue, it's just unconscionable. And I think the media needs to expose them much more rather than the fake narratives they spin. During the Lok Sabha elections, the narrative about Samvidhan and all, it was fake. And somehow they get away with it. Media shouldn't allow them to get away with it. They must answer for their fakery and for their exploitation of these sections of society. while actually demeaning very senior leaders like Baba Sahib Ambedkar.
How do you look at the Congress campaign? Because when I speak to BJP leaders, many are, hoping that they will perform well. It will help the BJP also.
Listen, the Congress is fighting for survival. For them, they really have to figure out how to continue to exist. And so they are fighting for survival. They've tried every trick. They've even tried aligning with APDA. In the last Lok Sabha election, they contested together. We beat them hands down. So whether they work with APDA or they work separately, at the Lok Sabha level, we have been beating them hands down. Remember, our strategy is to get more than 51% votes. And when we first started saying that 10, 12 years ago, people didn't take it seriously. But at the Lok Sabha level, it has been happening in many, many places, including in Delhi. Even at the assembly level, it has been happening in several states. And as I told you earlier, our vote share has grown from its original base of 32% to well over 40%, heading towards 50-51%. So it's within grasp. So to us, it doesn't matter whether the opposition put up whether they all fight separately, together, whether they're really contesting, not contesting. That's for them to decide. We are connecting with the people of Delhi, and we are getting this clear sense that they've decided to bless us.
But do you think it's a triangular contest?
See, Congress this time has put up some known names. You've got my former colleague in Parliament, Sandeep Dixit, whose mother was Chief Minister for many years. You've got many other known names of the Congress, and as I understand, this may be a departure from what they had been doing in the past because of their dealings. But you can't take them at face value. The same APDA which started its life vowing that they would never align with Congress, after their first election, they immediately aligned with Congress within days. The same Congress which talks negatively about APDA, even now in this campaign, they have aligned with them just recently in the Lok Sabha election. So it's a double APDA for the people of Delhi.
But now Rahul Gandhi is quite critical of Arvind Kejriwal.
I think several of their leaders have been quite critical. But there is a lot to be critical about the APDA leader. Except sometimes they have politics of convenience and come together. We stick to our criticism on principle and not on political convenience like they do.
5 years back, Delhi witnessed massive communal riots, the Delhi riots. In this election, hardly anyone is mentioning it. Even the opposition is not talking about it. Why is it missing from the campaign?
The reality is that if you go to certain parts of Delhi, as I said, there is one former councillor of the APDA who is now contesting from a different party as an MLA, who was in jail all these years for the murder of an IB official. And there are some parties who are going and rousing communal sentiments in some of these places. So it's not that they are not trying to do it. They are trying to do it. But I think people of Delhi have understood where these people come from. You saw during the atmosphere 5 years ago how some of these very people held public events and speeches where they talked about cutting off Assam from India. They talked about, they were basically trying to foster violence. Of course, the state is much more aware and taking steps to control that kind of activity, but the people themselves are much more wary.
2020, we also saw that, many polarized speeches were made, like Goli Maro or, Tukde Tukde. This time we see a much more sober sort of a campaign. Has there been any direction from the party not to make such polarized speeches? See, we are a party who believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. Okay? And I often throw out this challenge to people in the media, to people, international visitors, who sometimes get influenced by some of the fake narratives. Over the last 11 years, the Modi government has implemented many huge governmental programs like drinking water, piped drinking water in people's homes has gone up beyond 80% from
hardly 10, 20, 10, 15% when Modi ji became Prime Minister. In all these lakhs of crores of rupees worth of expenditure, there is not a single example of any discrimination against anybody on the basis of his or her religion or caste. There is no discrimination, there is no corruption. That's our basic approach to governance, and that is what the party is based on. I urge people to look at the BJP's constitution. It mirrors the national constitution. Whereas some of these other parties in the fray, they are openly communal. They openly incite people, as has been on the record. The media has covered it. Some of them are still doing it in certain parts of Delhi. So that's the basic approach difference between us and other parties.
Rohingya and Bangladeshis also figure in your election campaign, but are they actually, in such big numbers? Do you really think it is an issue as far as Delhi is concerned?
You've seen, I think the media has reported several examples of non-citizens who are infiltrators, who have, were trying to get on the electoral rolls. You've seen many media exposés of people from other countries who have come here, and they're openly claiming that the APDA government has been facilitating them. And this is an APDA government which is bankrupt. This is an APDA government which has refused to implement Ayushman Bharat, which would have benefited 51 lakh citizens of Delhi with a health safety net. This is an APDA government which has refused to accept 70,000 crores of Modi government funds for infrastructure, for medical infrastructure, for road transport infrastructure. They've got strictures from the High Court for not taking these funds. Their fear is that Modi ji will become even more popular if we implement central government programs.
But why isn't the Home Ministry then taking action? Law and order is under them.
We are, of course. I mean, if the Home Ministry were not taking action, you would not see these exposés. You would not see these people getting caught. The authorities are doing what they can. But when you have a state government which is in cahoots with criminals, look, you had the former education minister, the deputy chief minister, doing the liquor scam, putting up liquor stalls outside gurdwaras and temples and next to schools. I mean, this is a bizarre example of what kind of education they want to bring to the youth of Delhi. You've had another of their MLAs in jail under MCOCA for extortion. Just like you see in the movies, some don sitting in a foreign country calling and extorting. MLAs of this government are doing it. So if you hang around with liquor mafia, if you hang around with extortion mafia, obviously there will be crime. Obviously you're getting support from these people. Now, you can, they try to shift the narrative. But the point is, although the police are part of the central workforce here, but the civil administration with which the police has to work, the district magistrates, the officers lower down, the police don't work in a vacuum. They have to work in coordination and in cooperation with the state government. And when the leaders of the APDA who run the state government are themselves clearly criminals, it becomes difficult. That's why the people of Delhi want conflict-free governance. I want to make one point here. Around the country, all of these central government programs are being implemented, not just by our double-engine governments, by BJP everywhere. Of course, that we are doing, and we are having rapid growth. But even non-BJP governments are implementing Ayushman Bharat health program. They are implementing infrastructure projects with funds given by the central government. Ayushman Bharat, only West Bengal and Delhi are not implementing. Infrastructure funds, only Delhi is not implementing. That has to end.
I was looking at the election manifesto for Delhi, and one thing that caught my attention was this establishment of anti-Romeo squad. Don't you think it will be seen as a invasion of privacy? How do you think the youth will take it?
Look, there have been serious incidents of what used to be colloquially called eve teasing. You have seen in Delhi incidents that go far beyond eve teasing. You've seen incidents of women being lured. There have been horrible cases of murder, people being chopped up into pieces. and it starts at a lower level. There is a philosophy all over the world called the broken windows philosophy. If a city or a state, you start tolerating lower level crimes, that it's okay if some kids throw stones and break a few windows, chalta hai. Then next it goes into pickpocketing, then it goes up into robberies, car thefts, then hijackings, kidnappings, murders. It's the escalation theory of law and order. So unless you start enforcing a certain basic civility, a basic discipline, that women cannot be targeted. They're being targeted in public areas because of the, if you have liquor vends outside schools, what do you expect to happen to the youth of the city? It has to stop. So there will be various measures. Everything will be done within the ambit of the law, within the ambit of the constitution.
Well, before we let you go, one last question about your home state, Odisha. You're probably one of the first one to take on Pandian. You even left the party. The BJP made it into a central issue, how he was controlling. But now that the government has been formed, nothing has been done, no action, no inquiry. I mean, what has happened?
Look, the people have given their verdict. 4.5 crore Odias had enough of what was going on for nearly a decade. The people have given their verdict, and it's not true that nothing is going on. The new government is cleaning up. As I said, in 7 months, the BJP government headed by Chief Minister Mohan Majhi has implemented more than 70% of what was in our Sankalp Patra, in the manifesto. And you can see transparent processes being put into place. This is the case with every BJP government. I was involved with Assam earlier, and there used to be that huge Public Services Commission scam where corruption was there to give employment to youth. It was cleaned out. Similarly, there were a lot of things that needed cleaning out in Odisha. And I think there may be some wrong impression that things are not being done. A lot is being done, and the results will start showing.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This is Neelam Pandey reporting with Anisha from New Delhi.